The Hoka Bondi X, a maximally cushioned road shoe with a carbon fiber plate built in. Does it go the distance? Let's find out. But first, I need to let you know that Hoka did send the Bondi X to me to review. I didn't pay for it. They're not going to influence this at all. I'm going to say exactly what I want. So yeah, let's do that. So Hoka claims the Bondi X maintains the Bondi cushioning you've come to know and love, while adding that carbon fiber plate for a little extra propulsion, little toe off, help with that acceleration a little bit. So I have put the Bondi X through quite a few different types of runs now. I've done easy day runs, just kind of plodding around. I've done speed work, you know, just some strides. I've done tempo runs. I've done some actual track work, which is kind of why it's stained like a track on the bottom. So I've done everything in this shoe right now, and I have a pretty good feel for it. And I'm just going to give you my thoughts, tell you what I think, and if the shoe lives up to the hype. First, let's go over a couple of stats of the Bondi X like I always like to do. It is more of a little bit of a stability shoe for sure. You know, there is, you know, really with that plate in there, there's no flex whatsoever. I mean, it is stiff and rigid. I mean, there's not a lot of bend there at all. Just a little bit right here in the toe, but the rest of the shoe is stiff. I could feel that a little bit underfoot, which I'll get to a little bit later. Before we get any further though, if you wouldn't mind giving the video a like, clicking the thumbs up button, it really does help out a lot. It lets YouTube know that you like the video, and then they'll show it to other people and help the channel grow. And for the stack height with a men's shoe, we have the 33mm in the rear, 28mm in the front for a 5mm drop. For women, it is a 31mm and 26mm. Again, that same 5mm drop, just a little bit lower shoe. And for the weight of the Bondi X, there is a bit of it. It weighed in at 321 grams in a men's size 11 or 11.3 ounces. It's a bigger shoe just looking at the actual footprint of the shoe. I mean, it is a wide shoe. It's a big shoe, and you can feel that on your foot. Number of times I'm running, I can hit the other side of my other leg with this part of the shoe right here on the forefoot. It's just a wide, heavy shoe. But with the carbon fiber plate in the shoe, it doesn't feel that heavy. It does what Hoka says. It gives you that quicker acceleration, that feel, the toe off where it snaps, and it helps you with that propulsion, so you don't really feel the weight. However, I will say when I was doing my track work on the cool down portion, which, you know, I'm just doing a very easy jog trying to get my heart rate back down, I could feel the weight of the shoe. It did feel heavy. So just, yes, it's not a very light shoe, but when you're running fast, you don't really feel it. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the upper. The Hoka Bondi X is 100% vegan materials for the upper. It's also a breathable mesh upper with 3D hot melt yarns. It is a breathable mesh upper. The tongue is even perforated. You can see light through the shoe. You can see light through the upper. It's definitely a lightweight upper. All the weight of the shoe, pretty much, I mean, you can collapse this thing on the upper just like that. So all the weight of the shoe comes from this midsole and the plate in it. You can feel it is very breathable, and it feels comfortable on your foot. On the inside, there is an Ortholite sock liner, which was pretty nice and comfortable also. I didn't have any hot spot issues when I was running with the shoe. I think the longest I went with the shoe was about an hour and 45 minutes. So I had a pretty good test in it for the length. And I did a number of speed work sessions, like I said, so I got to feel the upper in all kinds of conditions. And it just felt it felt good. It definitely works well. On the upper, we have the lacing system, and the laces are nice. They're flat, they stay tied, they don't bunch up at all. The tongue is definitely one of those thinner tongues like I've talked about in my other Hoka reviews, basically. So there is a little bit of padding on it, and when you tie it, you don't really feel the laces digging into the top of your foot. But it is a shorter tongue. You can't really pull it up there very high. And it did slide just a little bit, but again, I never really had any issues with it rubbing. So I guess it's not really a big deal, but it is a thinner tongue, which helps with the weight savings also. And like they mentioned, it is perforated, so it does breathe pretty well. The heel collar here is nice and padded as well. Secures the heel in there pretty nicely. I did have one issue I'll mention when I was doing the track work on the intervals. So the heel of my left foot, right here, this is the right shoe, but the other shoe, right in the back of the heel collar here, it did start to rub a little bit, and it actually feel like it caused a bit of a hot spot and maybe even just a touch of a blister wanting to start to form on the back there. Only during the speed. When I went long and easier paced, it was no issue. But when I was running faster, I definitely felt it towards the end of my intervals, like probably on like the 6th one, maybe the 5th or 6th one. But other than that, I didn't have any other issues with the upper. That was the only negative that I could come up with. Also on the upper, we have the pull tab in the back here, nice and large and plenty firm. You can easily grab it. Honestly, I mean, I've never used a pull tab on a shoe, so some of them now have the heel flares, the little itty bitty cord. I mean, I don't use it, so whatever. And also there is the extra eyelet here on the upper, so you can do that runner's knot should you wish. Like I mentioned though, I didn't have any issues with lockdown. Foot felt nice and secure. I never had an issue or a need to do the runner's knot at all. So maybe with your foot you might, but for me, it was no issue. So to put the breathability to the test, with it being, you know, winter, even though it's like 60 degrees right now, I did the Trail Sage tissue test. And you can see when I turned the hairdryer on low, it lifted that tissue up just a little bit. But when I turned it on high, I mean, that tissue basically came off the shoe. This thing was incredibly breathable, the most breathable shoe I've seen yet, as far as with this tissue test. So in the heat, this will definitely feel good on your feet. That is for sure. It'll breathe very well, allow your foot to breathe, hopefully not cause any sweat issues. All right, let's talk about the midsole. Probably the biggest thing that people want to know about with the Bondi X. That's the carbon fiber plate in this midsole. Does it perform? Does it work? So Hoka says that the extended crash pad at the rear acts like a marshmallow basically, and combined with their softest foam in their arsenal to date, gives you a great cushioning level as you run. I actually found that to not be true. When I ran in the Hoka Bondi X, I got a very firm feeling. So my Clifton 8s feel much softer than the Bondi X. My Rincon 3s feel much softer, more cushioned. The Bondi X felt quite firm underfoot. With that said, I never really experienced foot fatigue on my long runs. Like I said, I went up to about an hour and 45 minutes, so nothing crazy. And with the speed work, also didn't really have any foot fatigue there either. But I would have expected more of that cushion, that Bondi cushion that people expect. I didn't get it from this. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if you're wanting that cushion, you may be a little surprised as well with this, because it definitely felt firm underfoot. But with that carbon fiber plate in there, it was nice. It was very nice. You know, would I take this out as my preferred easy day shoe? No, I wouldn't. I would go with the Clifton 8 probably as an easy day shoe. That's just a very comfortable, nice shoe to do an easy run in. This one is great for maybe you have to do some tempo in that longer middle distance run. You're going to do a tempo surge, maybe some fartleks, some intervals. Are you going to want to take this to the track and do track work? I mean, you certainly can with this, but you know, honestly, you probably want something a little bit lighter. So I'm not really sure what Hoka was going for with this, to be honest, but I guess it's kind of to bring that carbon fiber plate to everyone, not the elites out there running the 210, 220 marathons. I mean, it says in here, everyone can level up. So that's kind of what this is designed for, to bring the carbon fiber plate to everyone. Doesn't matter your paces that you're running. So with that respect, I think Hoka did do what they set out to do with the Bondi X. So I have just about 50 miles in these shoes so far. There's really not much compression going on in the forefoot. If we look at the heel, there's really not much there either. So honestly, I think this midsole is going to last a while thanks to that carbon fiber plate. I think it's going to help give it a little bit more life than normal. So I could see this going to 400, 450 miles, not a problem. All right, let's move on to the outsole of the Bondi X. Right away, you see that X I was talking about where you can actually see the carbon fiber plate through the shoe, just kind of neat. So Hoka says this rubber is a zonal placement in order to help reduce weight savings. Obviously, you can see here that there is no rubber whatsoever. It's just that exposed EVA. So we have plenty of rubber around here, most of the strike points of the shoe. So I think as far as longevity goes for the wear of the outsole, again, you'll probably be in that same 350 to 400 miles would be my guesstimate. But as far as traction goes, the Bondi X was fine. You know, I took it out in, very light rain, dry conditions on the road, a little bit of gravel here and there too, and it was fine. One thing to note though, with the gravel, I did get rocks wedged in this X quite a few times. I mean, like every time I would go out, basically, because I live on a country road where there's not great pavement. But yeah, rocks would get stuck in there. So just, you might pick up a little extra weight. But on the track, it did totally fine. I mean, you can see it stained a little bit from the red track I was on just last Wednesday. But yeah, they felt fine on the track. Plenty of traction. Not a lot to talk about with the outsole, if I'm honest. It does the job. It's a wide outsole, like I mentioned. The footprint of the shoe is very wide, so it feels a little bigger on the foot. But yeah, it's a pretty good outsole. Okay, let's talk about price. The Bondi X comes in at $200. So yes, that is an expensive shoe for sure, at least in my opinion. However, there are carbon fiber plate shoes out there that are $250, $300. So in that respect, it's a cheaper carbon fiber plate shoe. So you have to remember, this has a carbon fiber plate. It's not an acrylic plate. It's not a another type of a nylon plate. It's carbon fiber. So at $200, that's a pretty good price for the Bondi X. So that's going to be your call if you want to spend the money on the Bondi X. Bottom line, if you want a carbon fiber plate shoe, if you don't want to spend $250, $300 to get that, you want a shoe you can take out and go run daily miles. You can also take to the track, do track work. You can do some speed work in. Then the Bondi X is going to be fantastic if you want a little more stability in that shoe, a little firmer ride, but yet some cushion to go those longer miles. Bondi X is going to be perfect for you. So yeah, give it a shot. Like I said, go somewhere you can try it on. Maybe buy somewhere where you can run, a couple miles in it, test it out and see if you like it before you fully have to commit. Give it a shot and see if it works for you. I think the Bondi X is a great shoe and going to bring a lot of people into the carbon fiber plate world of shoes. So it's exciting in that regard for sure. Well, that's going to do it for the Bondi X. If you want to take a look at the full review I put together of the Hoka Clifton 8, it's going to be right on this side of your screen. Take a look at that. Another great easy day shoe. If you want to take a look over here, we'll put a playlist of some other shoe reviews, plenty of Hokas and other shoes in there to go check out. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you on the next one.